It has been 2 weeks since Kevin McCarthy was unceremoniously booted from the one job he wanted most in Washington, D.C., Speaker of the House. The Republican congressman from Bakersfield witnessed members of his own party, the ultra-right wing of the GOP, turn against him. Given the razor-thin margin that Republicans hold in the House, 221 GOP members to 212 Democrats, McCarthy could only lose 4 votes and withstand the mutiny. He didn't. In the 2 weeks since, House Republicans tried to coalesce around Republican Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana as the new Speaker. But when Scalise realized he did not have enough votes, he dropped out. Now Jim Jordan of Ohio, a firebrand congressman who helped form the far-right Freedom Caucus, hopes to win the speakership, with a possible vote coming Tuesday. But he is expected to have a tough battle, as his divisive politics turn off moderate Republicans. If Jordan fails, the Republican-led House will remain stuck in chaos. Without a speaker, new bills cannot be heard. This at a time when world crises are demanding American attention, such as the Israeli offensive in Gaza against the Hamas terrorist group over its recent attacks on Jewish settlements. Imagine one half of the legislative branch of our government remaining unable to function. That is what Republican leadership is currently achieving. As it stands, McCarthy will go down in American political history as the only speaker ever removed from the office. He can redeem a measure of his standing by using any influence he has left to make the House a fully functioning branch of government again. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than to do that, McCarthy will need to forgive Democratic opposition to his speakership. He will have to act in a bipartisan manner, as when he negotiated a stopgap funding measure to keep the federal government solvent. He should forge an alliance with Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York toward the goal of making the House work again. There are several ways McCarthy can do just that. Republican power-sharing Washington Post columnist Greg Sargent outlined several steps for McCarthy and House Republicans to consider. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than first. Work with Democrats to end the ability of any single House member to call for a vote to remove the Speaker. That is what doomed McCarthy. Florida's Matt Gaetz, no ally of McCarthy's, forced a full-floor vote of the House, known as a motion to vacate, on whether to remove McCarthy. The measure passed by 6 votes. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than McCarthy should support a plan that a majority of the party in power must approve any vote on a speaker. Otherwise, the threat will hang over anyone who holds the office, be it Jordan or another member. Second, McCarthy should accept the idea of power sharing with Democrats by agreeing to equal representation on the powerful Rules Committee. It decides what bills get heard on the floor of the House. By reforming the motion to vacate and allowing some shared governance, McCarthy and those backing him would nullify the tyranny of the minority that far-right members now enjoy. Any mechanism that would guarantee votes on the floor for certain measures would break the veto power that now exists for the lunatic fringe, congressional expert Norman Ornstein told Sargent. The House could function again. This becomes particularly timely in another month, when the stopgap funding runs out and funding the federal government once again faces a deadline. Given that Democrats did not support his speakership, it seems unlikely. But he negotiated with President Biden to avoid a default on the national debt, and achieve the stopgap funding needed to keep federal agencies operating. Both steps involve working with Democrats, and were condemned by Freedom Caucus members. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than Americans are tired of the petty drama being waged by far-right representatives like Gaetz. The Floridian likes to boast he is acting for the good of the nation, but witnessed 2 weeks of the House being frozen in time to see the real impact of Gaetz's actions. It is time for McCarthy to put on the mantle of statesman and move beyond his partisan past. McCarthy can lessen the sting of losing the speakership by acting for the good of his 20th district and the American people.